It's that time of week again where we count down our 4 favorite moments from the latest episode of Game of Thrones in Scooby Foursome.
Naughty.
Oh, yeah.
So, last night, or the other night, I should say, we had Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 3, The Queen's Justice, 4-1. What were your top moments?
Okay, so let me start by saying this wasn't my favorite episode in the season so far.
Sure.
I was a little like, ugh.
It lacked a little bit.
Like, what's gonna happen? But I know they're building up the suspense slowly. So, number 4 is when Sansa started giving orders, because around the camp, when she walked past and she's like, oh, why don't those have leather? Aren't they gonna need leather for when it gets cold? I was like, damn,
right?
Sansa, like, it just like you got to see her in action being a leader with no man. She had no one to answer to, no one to kind of consult her on it.
And all these older lords are answering to her.
Yes.
And not giving her crap, doing what she says.
And she just, the way she had, like, went about it, she was just, like, a very quiet confidence. And it kind of reminded me of how Cersei was at the beginning before she's turned super evil.
She
like,
even
just,
said
like,
it last week.
This, like, you could tell that the men, like, they had a little fear.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, yeah, right away. Like, yeah, we'll do it. It wasn't like, okay, yeah.
And respect, too.
Yes.
You can tell they respect Sansa.
Right,
Yeah.
So I think, like, that's interesting to see her developing into this leader. And
she even said last week when Jon Snow said, sounds like you admire Cersei. I think she kind of does.
Yeah.
I think she said I learned a lot from her.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
So, yeah, that was number 4 for me.
Nice.
Number 3 was whenever Jon Snow met Daenerys, I thought that was a little underwhelming. Like
The whole scene?
The whole scene was underwhelming.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite moments from the episode did come from that.
Yes, I love this moment.
Okay,
I love it.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like we all know what I'm gonna say right now. So, Missandei is giving Daenerys title, and it just goes on for like 2 minutes.
Mother
it
of
feels
Dragons,
like. Yes.
Stormborn,
Breaker of Chains.
Breaker of
Just like
Chains.
the most dramatic intro you could have ever expected.
Last of the
Daenerys is
Targaryens.
just she's just sitting on the throne, like, like still going, and then Sir Davos just looks at Jon Snow and she's like, "This is Jon Snow. He's the king in the north."
Yeah.
like it's an afterthought. Like it's just.
It's like, he's like, yeah, it's almost like, we don't do titles in the North.
Yeah.
Because, like, it reminds me of one of my favorite scenes from season 1 where Robert Baratheon is, like, at one of the King's Council meetings. And before every King Council meeting, they go, Robert Baratheon, the Stag, the King, like, all this. And he just, like, shut up, titles. And it's always made me laugh because you don't need to list 120 titles.
It's just, like, absurd. And it kind of, it really shows the difference between them.
Yes.
And I just loved that. Like, I was crying laughing during
Jon
this.
Snow.
But
he's the king in the north.
But the whole scene, I wish there was a little more going on. I thought there was gonna be some like sexual tension or like I just thought it was gonna be more dramatic.
It felt a little flat.
Yes.
Especially ending with the "Are you my prisoner?" and she's like, "Not yet." I'm like,
Well, especially after waiting for all this time for them to meet up.
6
like I thought it
seasons.
was gonna be a way more epic thing, but.
Right.
Whatever, you know what? They know what they're doing. They're setting it up for something.
I'll let it slide. Although I was with you, like this key things in this episode that I thought were supposed to be like, wow, I felt a little lackluster.
Yeah. My number 2 was when Cersei killed Ilaria.
Ilaria Sand.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Ilaria Sand. I've been having trouble with this name.
They all
Out
have
of all,
funky names.
yes.
What do you want?
So whenever she killed when she killed that person's daughter.
That woman.
Yeah.
Her
she's
dead
that
daughter.
lady. Yeah. Because I thought that it was going to be a much more gruesome scene.
I'm with you.
I thought that the mountain was going to come do some crazy shit to this girl.
Remember
like,
Septa Unella from last season?
Yeah. Exactly. I thought it was going to be very like graphic.
Yes.
And so the whole time I'm like waiting because you're like, what is she going to do? And then she goes in for the kiss and you're like, wow, how poetic is this? Like, it just...
Poetic, but yeah, I'm with what you said before, where it's like, I guess I waited a whole summer for this, and then I thought when she did get her hands on them, like, yeah, it was going to be like a head crushing, or like Oberon. I'll never forget that scene. Or Catelyn getting her throat slit. Like, I thought it was going to be more like that.
Yeah, well, I know at first that's what I thought it was going to be like, but then whenever I saw the scene play out the way it did, I thought that it was perfect. Like, I was like, this is exactly how she should go.
And Cersei is more vicious than she is brutal. She's plenty brutal. brutal. But if she can be vicious instead of brutal, I think she'll go with what hurts her more.
Because she wants to torture Ilaria.
That woman. That woman.
She wants to torture her. Like, so she's going to have to watch her daughter die slowly in front of her. I think, like, if she just did one skull-crushing scene where her daughter died, like, that would be hard to watch. But, like, it wouldn't be this long, drawn-out process, which makes the torture worse, in my opinion.
So maybe more shocking for the audience, probably not as shocking for the character.
Right. And I think it's about the characters.
Right.
You know, like,
all right, fine.
Stay true.
Okay. Stay true.
Okay, and then my number one favorite moment of the season, this is a big, of the season so far, this is a big spoiler alert, was when Bran Stark showed up to Winterfell.
I mean...
because we talked about this. The entire time, I thought Arya was coming. Like, that was the first thing that popped in my head. I was like, oh my God, Arya's here, Arya's here. I completely forgot about Bran.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on my map.
The last we saw him, he ended
up
at the gate at the wall.
Yeah, he was at the wall.
Then he was like, you've done all this stuff. And they're like, bring him in.
Yeah. So I just assumed he was still up there. And then whenever the gate opened and it was Bran, I was just like, I did not see that coming. That was a total flip in the script for me. So I just really liked how surprised I was and shocked by that. And then also the way that Bran acted, because we really haven't seen, he's so grown up now.
Right.
Like, we've seen him going out in and out of like this third eye raven thing, like but we haven't really seen him interact with anyone.
And the last time the last time he's been using his third eye raven I thought he still seemed a little unsure.
Yeah.
But last night or last episode, he was
just in a trance. It was like he's no longer Bran.
Yeah. He's almost like going to like turn into this ethereal being that is just almost like looking over everything.
Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting to see, because I thought that maybe there was still going to be like remnants of like a little boy, like Sansa's little brother, and it was just like he was gone.
Yeah, and like that scene, oh my God, that got me, because I put myself in Sansa's shoes. It's like the worst thing that's ever happened to you. You think the only person that knows what happens is Dad, Bolton. But it's like, oh no, because my brother's a super psychic now. He saw all the rape, torture, and abuse that I went through, which is hard for...
And like the most compassionate offering he can give is, I'm sorry for all the abuse you went through.
It's almost like he has like no emotion anymore.
Yeah. So that was hard.
All right.
But also really awesome.
Good foursome there. All right.
I love a good foursome.
For me, starting at number 4, Euron Greyjoy's celebration and trash talk to Jaime. Oh my God, now.
So good.
When Euron came...
I'm like, which one of us is going to say it? Who's going to say it?
Well done. When Euron came last season, I wasn't that big on him. I felt as though like they tried too hard, I think too fast to make him look awesome. Like he shows up on a bridge, throws his brother overboard, and it's like, I'm king now.
It's like, we don't need another bad guy. We already have, like, who is this?
And it happened so quickly where he was like, oh, now that you guys killed Ramsay, I'm going to be the big... It was like such an obvious setup. But he started to win me over the first episode of the season where he goes to Cersei, and he basically is like, you need my ships, I want a queen. And when he's talking to Jaime, he's like, that same episode, he's saying something... almost like, oh yeah, I have 2 good hands and all that crap. Like clearly, like I know that you sleep with your sister, but I want to sleep with your sister. Total shade in his face.
Yes.
He just doubled down. First, he's marching through the town with the Sand Snakes and Laria and her daughter. The lady again, through town with her and her daughter. Like they're all roped and chained up. Very reminiscent of the Shame scene.
Yes.
Shame.
Which I thought was funny because Jaime then made a comment like these were the same people that were throwing like things at Cersei in the streets.
Right. How you can't, there's no loyalty with the people.
And I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
That was the same people that are now on Cersei's side again, were the ones that were throwing poop at her.
The people are fickle. He's becoming one of my favorite characters. I know he's going to die, but he's so unabashedly bad and such an asshole. Like where every time you notice, whenever he's standing still, he does like his Captain Morgan pose.
Oh,
he just
I love it.
Always has his leg up, just so cocky, like airing out that crotch everywhere that he goes.
It's been in a lot of places, probably.
A lot of places. Who knows what he's got
gotta
back
get the
there.
airflow going.
And then when he's talking to Jamie and he's like, can you give me tips about your sisters? Does she like it rough, soft, a finger in the bum?
A finger in the bum. Okay, I've been waiting. What was that line? That line was a little finger in the bum. Like, oh my God. I think I got a little crush right in that moment. Like,
See?
just because it's his confidence, like his pure, like not scared to challenge Jamie. Like, I don't know. I guess women, we like assholes.
Look, again, like, not even like women, like dudes. It's like, that's a badass guy. It's like, that's like, it's something about a guy who's like, I'm just going to do and say whatever I want. So what? I don't know what to tell you.
Finger in the bum.
Finger in le bum.
Perfect for a Scooby foursome.
Yeah, it is. Well, we keep going back. Full circle, yeah. No, at number 3, we had Tyrion convinces Jon Snow to try a different tactic with Dany. That was after the meeting in the throne room, and Dany's like, you're not my prisoner. Later on the mountaintop, Jon's like to Tyrion, I kind of am your prisoner. I can't go to my ship. And then after their long back and forth, Tyrion's like, it's hard for me to believe, but I know you're a good man. I don't believe you to be a crazy man. So there must be some truth to what you say. That being said, he's like, what's his truth? It's like, if you came or someone showed up in your castle being like, you got to help me fight these giant zombies. I don't know what we're going to do. You'd be like, you're crazy. He's like, that's an unreasonable thing to ask. He said, ask something more reasonable. Scene after that, he asks her for the dragon glass. They chit-chat a little bit. She gives it to him, and I'm like, all right. And Tyrion, from a drunken whoremonger, he has really turned things around. Number 2, the first meeting between Dany and Jon Snow. You touch upon this. This is a repeat, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is the title scene was great, and also I was expecting more out of the scene, but it was still, it did the job.
Like,
it's almost like,
what made you love it? Because I didn't really do
I think it was more the release than anything else. It's like if you've been going out with somebody for a while and you're waiting to have the sex.
The sex.
And then eventually you have the sex and you're like, that wasn't great. But there's almost a release in just
There's
sort of.
There's definitely a release. Sorry.
Keeping it clean.
Sorry. And you really set yourself up for that. I don't. I'm sorry. Okay.
As far as
A mental release.
A mental release where it's like good, bad, or indifferent. You're like, oh, well, now I know. I don't have to wonder anymore. I've been waiting 6 seasons to see Jon Snow and Dany Targaryen in the same scene. They finally got there. Again, I don't know what I wanted. I guess I was expecting more of some sort of like epic like pact. Like almost like, for those of you who remember, when Xena and Hercules finally decided to team up and join forces. I wanted more of that. I wanted more of like an epic, only together can we ever conquer the night. And all we got was, you're a dirty barbarian. I was like, well, you're a spoiled rich girl. And I'm like, well.
I was thinking like, you're a dirty barbarian. Well, you're a spoiled rich girl. And then they just get like really close to each other and then like, it's done. It's game over.
I love how you're really sticking with the theme of this segment. That's
you call something Scooby foursome, and I have a one-track mind. It just keeps going.
She's keeping it on point. And number 1 for me was Lady Elena.
That other lady.
The Queen of Roses, or Queen of Thorns, when Lady Alana tells Jamie that she killed Joffrey. Oh.
Cold-hearted.
Cold-blooded. It was amazing.
Oh my God, did you hear that beautiful high note?
Oh, thank you. It was amazing how, even in death, because obviously Jamie and the Lannister troops storm the castle, Highgarden, I think it is. Highgarden they storm.
Yes.
They steal their gold, take all their food, wheat, grain, and everything. And when Jamie's walking through the castle and he gets to Lady Elena.
I think it's Olenna.
Elena?
Just that other lady.
Just the older lady. You know who we're talking about. And he's very cordial. And he's like, I was sent here to do a job. It's over, pretty much. You gotta die. And she's like, how will it happen? And she's talking about Cersei. And she's really starting to, I feel like, maybe get through to Jamie a little bit when she's like, you're a monster. She's a monster and you're gonna spread her like a disease. He ultimately is like, well, I love her, but I felt a little wince in his eye that I think he gets there's a bit of truth to what she's saying. So where he just, oh my God, like when Jamie pours the wine in her cup and boom, like a champ, she didn't even wait.
Oh, she chugged it.
She chugged it.
I loved it.
She didn't wait.
One gulp, like.
She didn't hesitate.
You know that she was the queen of the parties. Like, she killed it at parties. She
like
won
in her
beer
old
pong
age,
every time.
Still drinking people under the table, you know. I feel like this is her, and yeah, she just shot that because again, one of my favorite characters since the start of the show, the episode where she's like to her granddaughter Marjorie, "He didn't think I'd let you marry that monster," to my killing Joffrey, which leads to the end of this scene. Jamie's like, I basically spared you pain. I talked Cersei out of crushing your hair or skinning you alive. We're just gonna have it quick, get it over with, and then she shoots that. And as she's dying, she's like, just so you know, I killed your boy, mofo.
That was amazing.
Make sure you tell your sister, because I want her to know.
But I was like, what's Jamie going to do? Like, I thought maybe he would, like, do something to her.
I think he was going to, like, stab her through the heart or something.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do something violent.
Me
he just walked away, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But maybe that's also Jamie being like, you know, well, Joffrey is a monster.
I think he
Cersei's
knows what a monster
like,
his son was.
He's just kind of like, okay, this is what my life is.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to tell Cersei?
That's what I don't know, because I feel like Cersei, she loves to blame Jamie for stuff when stuff goes wrong. I feel like she's going to be like, I told you to torture her and bring her a lot of pain, and now she died a peaceful death, almost like, screw you, buddy.
I feel like he's not going to tell her, but I want her to know. You know?
I do want her to know, just so she knows that. And I also want her to know so she knows she was wrong about Tyrion. She still thinks Tyrion killed him, and you need to let that go, lady.
That's true.
Yeah, but although she hates Tyrion, so I'm sure it wouldn't do much for the relationship anyway. And he did kill their father. All right.
But is that really his father is the question.
Wait, what about?
You know, is that really Tyrion's father?
Oh, right. Maybe he's a Targaryen.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Good foursome. That was for Game of Thrones.
Foursome.
Great
job, team. Great job.
Good team. Everybody involved.
Yes.
That was Game of Thrones. Next we have coming up episode 3. Is that next week? Episode 4 next week. Until next time, I've been Andre.
I'm Alex.
Stay groovy,
Scoobies.
Scoobies.